One's a fire type and the other's blind. It's Arcanine and Arcanine, fuzzy orange friends till the end of time. It's Arcanine and Arcanine, cruising the Pokemon path since 1999. It's Arcanine and Arcanine, get ready for another episode of Pokemon Timeline.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Pokemon Timeline, the series that dictates each set in the Pokemon TCG on the 25th anniversary of their release, and breaks it down into tangible, simple, short, and understandable, relatable facts for the fellow friends and collectors in the TCG. I am Arc, the Canine, and this is my friend here, Arcanine. So, without further ado, y'all, let's do our best to try and collect them all. So, today on the second episode of Pokemon Timeline, we're going to be talking about Jungle, which is the second expansion here in America, as well as the second expansion in Japan. We're still on the same page, ladies and gentlemen. The second set, known as Jungle in both English and Japanese, was officially released in Japan on March the 5th of 1997, but it didn't come over here until quite a while later, just like with base set. We actually got it before we expected, though. We got it on June 16th of 1999, so 25 years ago today. But however, it wasn't actually expected to come out until roughly August or even September by some estimates. But it was just that Pokemon was actually getting a big boom, because one of the company's tops was releasing cards also at the time, which is a separate thing if you ever want to look into that. And so because of that, they basically were like, well, we want to push this up. We want to get some revenue going. So, business tactics. So that happened. And so, the Jungle set is noticeably a lot smaller than the base set. It's only 64 cards, but in Japan, it was actually only 48 cards. How do we get these other 16 cards? Well, they decided that we were going to just add in the holographics as non-holo rares and call it good. Okay, we're just going to extend it, that's fine. And so, you can get all the holos in this set as non-holo rares. That being said, this set is a little more easy to navigate when it comes down to it, because unlike base set, we're kind of scattered around with your commons, your uncommons, your rares, all that fun jazz. We actually had a simpler format, because cards 1 through 16 were the holographics, and then cards 17 to 32 were going to be the non-holographic equivalents, and then you had your 16 uncommons, and then to finish it out you had your 16 commons. Now, this set did not contain any energy, and quite frankly it contained 47 Pokemon cards, actual Pokemon that you battle with, but it only contained one trainer, just one, so, kind of funny that. But there were 11 cards in the packs, just like with base set, and these 11 cards consisted of 7 commons and 3 uncommons, and then your 1 rare or holographic. And holographics were still 1 in 3 packs, and that's just kind of how it was. That being said, the pack artworks for this, we had 3, just like in base set, we had 3 different artworks. And the 3 Pokemon that were featured were Flareon, my favorite evolution, and then you had Scyther, and then you concluded it out with Wigglytuff. So those were the artworks that were on the packs that you would purchase at the store. And then that goes into saying that some of those may have been the chase cards. Now, while the latter 2 were not, the evolutions were a really big deal. And are still a really big deal today, if it's any indication by prices of just everything Eevee. But we did get our first look at Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. And then some of the other notable chases that people liked, Mr. Mime was really popular at the time in decks, but also you had Snorlax. So that kind of gives you an idea of like some of the big cards that were in this set. That being said, the cards in this set did have some, we'll say, little issues, but we'll get to that in a minute because that's sort of a whole segment of its own. But the cards originally, the packs were like $3 a pack at the time, MSRP, and a box was $110 for a 36-pack box. Just imagine that. Because nowadays, what does a jungle box cost you? Well, roughly a jungle box, if it's unlimited, is going to run you about $7,500 to $8,000. And a Japanese box is going to run you in the ballpark of $13,000. And then a first edition English booster box tops it all off at about $14,000, somewhere in that ballpark in the summer of 2024. So that's something that you can look forward to. So the set themselves did have, as I said, some interesting situations. You had some no symbols in the Unlimited. That's right. So the symbol that is the jungle symbol, that's right, we have symbols now. And we didn't have that with base set, but we did have that with jungle and onward. So the symbol is essentially what looks like 5 leaves with a stem. Now, these leaves and a stem sort of remind me of Ivysaur's back, but I don't know. But that's just kind of what I personally think of when I think of the jungle symbol. But there were a few issues, and one of them was that the Unlimited had no symbol. There were Unlimited boxes that had no symbol on the holographics, just the holographics, but it was really weird because it made them look like base set cards. So you can find those. It's an error. It's not extremely expensive, but it is a lot of times something that demands the premium over a standard, jungle holographic card. Not only that, but we did have our first ever official pre-release. I mentioned the Pikachu Evolution Raichu as a pre-release for base set, but technically that was never released officially. So you did have Clefable, and Clefable was, funny enough, an unlimited form, no first edition stamp as its variant that said pre-release on the artwork at the bottom. And so those usually cost a pretty little penny nowadays, but yeah, it was our first pre-release, so yippee! We could kind of start doing that for a little while. And then also you had what is known as the Ivy Pikachu, which is technically the promo Pikachu, and we have seen this pulled from a pack before, and we do have confirmation now, like 25 years later, that it was actually technically the first secret rare, so to speak. It's not holographic, but it is the Pikachu promo card that has a first edition stamp on it. It can be pulled from Jumble Packs, and the Jungle Packs were really weird because we didn't technically get ratios, but it's rumored that it's 1 in 10 boxes, so 1 in 366 packs. So it's pretty insane. But getting back to something that you could obtain, there were 2 theme decks that went along with this. With base set we had 4, but with this we only had 2. So we had Water Blast, and that one was a water fighting deck, and we had Vaporeon as your promo. The other one was Power Reserve, and you had a Kangaskhan as your holographic. And that deck was a grass psychic deck. So you did have a lot of variation. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun time to be a Pokemon collector. It'd been like 5 months almost. We'd gotten a new set, and everything was great. So I just really wanted to talk to you about this set, show it off, tell you all about it. But now that I have, I think it's about time that we go out and have a weenie roast, because it is midsummer here. So I think Arcanine, maybe you can help me, go roast some weenies and roast some marshmallows and I'll burn them to a crisp. Yeah, you think? Okay. All right, so we'll get out of here and we'll get off this couch and we'll go have some weenies and marshmallows. But for you all can see the cards that I have accumulated from this set. So
here we go with the sets that I've acquired over the years of Pokemon Jungle. So the first card that we have here starting off the set is number 1, so it's Clefable. And as I said, this is a pre-release card too, but we'll get to that one at the end. This is the one that you would get in the actual pack. And the second card that we have over here is the Electrode. I always found this one interesting because I always thought of that one in like Voltorb and stuff, and I was just like, what are you doing? These are really interesting. But yeah, Electrode, just one of those interesting Pokemon that, again, you know, it's just unique and it's there, and it definitely helped us complete our Pokemon sets, especially holographically. So as we go along here, we're getting to what is personally my favorite, or at least one of my top favorites in the set. I swear I'm not biased. As I said earlier, I love me some Flareon, and I love me some Evolution. So this was definitely about tops for me. And it was one of the harder cards to acquire. I didn't know why. I just decided that I was going to acquire them, and it took me a while, and this was one of the ones that was more pricey at the time. But moving on to number 4, we definitely have another Evolution here, and this is Jolteon. So Jolteon definitely really high up there for me as well. I definitely love me some Evolutions. As I said, he just looks so ferocious, but yet, you know, so protective, and I definitely like that Pokemon for sure. Coming up next to number 5, we have Kangaskhan, and as I said earlier in the video, this is the one that you would get from the Power Reserve theme deck. So it was kind of interesting because this was one of the easiest holos to get technically. So yeah, just something to keep in mind if you're searching for this one, that it's technically one of the easier ones to get. As we move on forward here to number 6, we got Mr. Mime. So as I said, this one was one of the popular ones in some decks around the time. And also I just always think of the Pokemon animation when I think of this card, because I think of Ash's mom and this Pokemon just always cleaning up and taking care of the business, you know. Also, fun fact, this is the only Pokemon of its type in the set. So yeah, that's sort of a funny thing in this set. It's the only one of its type. So then as we move on to number 7 here, we have Nidoqueen, the queen herself. And yeah, not too much to say here. I just definitely think it's cool artwork. It's, you know, it's a nice card to have, and definitely completed the set. So while it's not one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, it definitely isn't one of my least favorite for sure. So number 8 here is the bird himself. It's Pidgeot, so watch the birdie. You know, this Pokemon, I admit, I was so disappointed when I pulled this as a kid. I wanted to pull one of these. I wanted to pull a Flareon or an Evolution. I ended up pulling one of these, so you know, you can't win them all. But yeah, so I got him now, so it is what it is. But then coming up next here, we have Pinsir. So number 9 being Pinsir. Again, not too much to say. I kind of like the Pokemon, but it's just kind of there in the middle for me. But again, I was still coming off the high of base set when I started opening this. I was happy to have certain Pokemon, but other ones I was just like, nah, I still like my Charizard and my Blastoise, you know. So number 10 is Scyther. And this again is another one of the ones that's on the pack artwork. So I don't know if anyone's ever done it on camera, but I think it would be cool, or even as a kid, just to be like, hey, I got a Scyther pack and I opened it up and I pulled a holographic Scyther. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, right? So as we move on along down here into the latter portions of the set, we get on to the big cat daddy himself. We get on to the Snorlax, just always munching and crunching and eating up and then just taking an afternoon nap. Basically the way I feel when I get off work is a Snorlax. I want to eat and chill out and be fat and lazy. That's just the way it should be. But I definitely like this Pokemon. I like the blue on him. I just always have, because my favorite color is blue, of course. But yeah, definitely a fun Pokemon and one of the chase cards that a lot of people wanted. Coming up here on number 12 is the one from the other theme deck. So this is from Water Blast, and it's the Vaporeon. And I definitely like this Pokemon. Again, they're definitely one of my favorites, obviously being an Evolution. I definitely got the mermaid tail thing going. It's just, I definitely like the I definitely like the Pokemon for what they are, and they're just a beautiful card, beautiful Pokemon. Number 13 here is Venomoth, which I know that I'm pretty sure my partner wouldn't care for too much because she don't like bugs. She would be swatting at that thing. She'd be like, I don't like you, go away, stop buzzing around me, stop flying around me, go away. But nonetheless, one of those Pokemon, I don't know if it's necessarily the one that you'd be hoping to get from a pack, but it's definitely in there, and it's just a fun card to definitely have in the set. Now, as we go on here, number 14, we got one of the Pokemon that I was intrigued by as a kid, just because of the way it looks. It's, it being one of Team Rocket's cards too, or not Team Rocket's cards rather, but Team Rocket's Pokemon, Victory Bell. And so I just always was intrigued by it. It just had a unique look to it. So yeah, that Pokemon always definitely holds some nostalgia to me. Plus, I remember when I first pulled that Pokemon as a kid. So that's a good memory that I have. Coming up now at number 15, we have Vileplume. And this Pokemon, again, is one of those Pokemon that I know I had some as a kid. Like, I know I had a rare version, but I don't think I had the holo. So it's one of those that I picked up over the past couple years and just added it to my collection just to complete the set. I don't hate the Pokemon, but it's just kind of one of those. It's like, yeah, it's all right. It's there. But definitely decent artwork, and definitely like the Pokemon. It's all right. So the last holographic Pokemon in the set was Wigglytuff. So yep, the third pack artwork that you could get. And again, it'd be cool to pull it from the pack that has the artwork on it. Sure it's happened to somebody. But yeah, just one of those fun little Pokemon to end off the set. And I will say I do like my OCD loves that, at least for these early sets and early series and Wizards of the Coast, that they put the order in ABC order, and I absolutely love that, because then I can actually put together a set and not feel like it's all discombobulated like stuff is today. That's just me being nitpicky, but I'm getting off topic. The final card here isn't in the set, but this is the one that I talked about earlier. This is the pre-release Clefable, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the pre-release there. It's in green, because of course green sticks out with green, right? But this card is one of those cards that goes for about $250 now. It's kind of funny because it's actually more expensive than any of the cards in the main actual set. And funny enough, it doesn't even have a first edition stamp. My original Clefable that I started off the video with has a first edition stamp. Because it is first edition, but this came out and you were getting pre-release packs essentially, and getting first edition packs but not a free pre-release promo. So who knows, it's kind of weird. But yeah, that's the card set, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it if you did. And I just really wanted to show off my set while I have it, and now I'm going to go put it back in the binder and get ready for the next episode before too long.
And with that, fellow Pokemon trainers and masters, that brings to a close another episode of Pokemon Timeline. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because these episodes will continue to come out periodically as the 25th anniversary of each Pokemon set arrives down the line. Until next time, keep collecting, and remember, you gotta catch 'em all. See you later.